This is the Startup Social Podcast, your inside look at the Austin startup world. We get real with local founders and business owners who share their toughest challenges and biggest wins.
This is Daniel Griggs, host of Startup Social TV and Podcast. That is the reason why I don't like reading from scripts and doing intros. As I mentioned all the time, as I mentioned all the time, we got an intro before the show starts, and all of y'all hear it. If you're watching for the first time, I told you my name, and you already heard the name of the show, Startup Social TV and Podcast. I'll tell you what it's about, which is basically entrepreneurs in the Austin area. And we're going to hear from them and be able to hear all of the lessons learned, horror stories, if there are any.
Oh my.
Toughest challenges and biggest wins. Today, we have my good friend, Jennifer Welch. I'm going to read out a snippet of about her and her business. She's the owner and broker of Evolve360 Realty, Amazing Realty, and the founder of the 21-day flip concept. She's been in real estate for over 20 years and built a true full-service real estate brokerage to support the evolving needs of her clients and agents. Thanks so much for coming down to the domain and doing this podcast and show with us. So first, if you can let the audience know a little bit more about yourself, where you're from. It's Alabama, I think.
I grew up in Pinson, Alabama. That's right. That accent comes out sometimes.
So background, where you're from, and then how'd you end up here in Austin?
Okay. I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, in a small town just outside of Birmingham in Pinson. Mm-hmm. I'm in real estate now, and I like to say I've been doing this for over 20 years. So I had a quote-unquote real job. I worked in corporate America. Mm-hmm. I was a teacher for a while, and I think all of those things kind of melded together to make me who I am today. Yeah. So you pull a little bit of that project management experience out, and some of the corporate training, and you pull all that together, and that's kind of what I'm doing now. So I've got agents that we're training. We're training clients on flipping. Uh-huh. It's just kind of an interesting mix of what we do. So years and years ago, and if I go all the way back to I say I've been doing this for 20 years. Uh-huh. My gray hairs give me away. Thank goodness you can't see that on podcast, right? So my very first flipping experience was kind of almost out of desperation. Uh-huh. My husband at the time had lost his job. We couldn't afford the mortgage anymore. I was a school teacher at the time, and it was just kind of this crazy situation where life just presented an opportunity. And we lived in Seattle, Washington at the time, and this was back in the year 2000. Uh-huh. And the housing market was just skyrocketing. And the heroes, the police officers, firefighters, and teachers, which I fell into that category at the time, couldn't afford housing because the market was going up so fast. So there was this really cool housing opportunity that I got to purchase a house on. And the very first house that I bought, I had like over $80,000 in equity. Uh-huh. And I wasn't expecting that. But by the time the house was built and it was time to actually move in, the market had moved so much. And I thought, you know what, there's got to be something to this. And so I did some research and started to look into real estate and investing in properties and that sort of thing. And all of a sudden, it just kind of dawned on me that this is going to be the way forward. And I was teaching school at the time. I had a young infant, but I really loved what we were doing. And I flipped that first house. And, like I said, I made quite a good bit of money on that and bought another house and moved, and we did it again. And so for the longest time, I was actually moving into the houses that I was flipping. And that's hard work with little kids. It's real hard. And in Seattle, it gets real cold in the winter. Oh, yeah. And I do not like to shovel snow. And so at some point, I got this genius idea. It was genius. Now I look back, it really was. But I thought, you know what? I am going to figure out where I need to land because it is not Seattle. As much as I love my friends there, it was not going to be Seattle. And so I actually built a spreadsheet, and the people who know me kind of laugh about it, but I figured out the demographics, what the working conditions were, what the tech support was in the area.
You went into detail.
I did. I knew all the weather pattern. I mean, you name it. And I was outside of the hurricane zones, tornado alley. I figured it all out. And everything pointed to Austin. I had never been to Austin before in my life, and everybody in Seattle just thought I was crazy. They just thought it was ridiculous. And I think now they look back and wish they bought some property in Austin back then. But that's what I did. So I moved the family to Austin and started to buy properties and started to continue to flip. But at the same time, I had a quote unquote, real corporate America job. And again, lots of great experience from that, being able to combine those years of networking and relationship building. And I was writing multi-million-dollar contracts and doing a lot of marketing. I ran call centers for a long time. And but at some point, it just kind of became reality that this real estate thing was bigger,
Yeah.
and I could do something more with it. And so I actually quit work and put in my notice and started to be a real estate agent who was more of an investor.
Yeah.
And the more I did that, the more people were coming and saying, Jen, show me what you're doing. Teach me about this flipping thing. Tell me more. And so from that kind of became this whole idea of a real estate brokerage. And so that's really what happened. So Amazing Realty it was formed with a vision of supporting other investors and being able to teach folks how to do what in essence I happened into, but fell in love with. And that's kind of the foundation of what we do now is all this flipping and investing. But on the flip side of that, Evolve360 Realty, which is my other real estate brokerage, is our partnership with a marketing firm. And we've built our Sunday morning TV shows.
Which is nice.
It is. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we love it because it's so different. So we're the only real estate brokerage in town who does what we do, both with the teaching of investing on the Amazing side and with the TV and the digital distribution strategy that we have on the Evolve side of the house. And so you put all that together, and we truly are a very unique brokerage, and we're doing things that are just totally different out there right now.
So with the educational side, because I know you said it kind of stems from you're a teacher.
Absolutely. Yes, I did teach school for a while.
So how did you come up with the educational side of things? Is it strictly based on your experiences? Based on how did you bring that together?
All right, that's a big question. So everything's got multiple streams as well, right?
Yeah.
So I think just the short answer is that I just naturally do teach. That's just kind of who and what I am. And so the 21-day flip kind of emerged on the Amazing side of the house, and that's where I actually teach teams of people how to flip houses. And so it's actually really cool because they're not all real estate agents. I get today this lady came in that had just heard about us and just wanted to know more, and so she's just an average housewife that sitting at home and who's heard about this and wants to flip houses. She's probably watched HGTV or whatever, and it looks glamorous, and so they want to know how to do it.
I watched that, and I wanted to flip houses before.
Well, come on down. You can join a project house. I'll teach you how. But what happens is I put together groups of 9 people, and they all buy in, so they're making an investment. I think if you're going to flip a house, you need to learn about the investment side of it as well. But I'm carrying the burden of the home, the purchase of it, and they're just putting in the contribution towards that 20% down payment and some of the rehab costs. So again, they're learning about the investment piece of it. They actually have to go through the pre-approval process, even though they aren't actually buying the house. It's still part of that experience. And then I teach them how to be general contractors. So they actually have to come to demo day. They have to manage a crew. They have to figure out their budget. They have to pick out their paint colors and design the house.
You're getting them prepared for real.
Exactly. Yes. And so oftentimes what happens is people will flip with me 2 or 3 houses, and then they've kind of figured it out a rhythm. They figured out the system, and then they can go off and do that on their own. But what's really cool about one of these project houses is that if they make their investment up front, at the end of the project house, they get that investment back plus a share of the profits. Now, of course, they're sharing profits 9 ways, so they're not going to make $1 million, but they've got this huge learning experience. And so they figure out how to solve problems, what to do when the wiring goes bad, or if the plumbing, we take out a tub and something always goes wrong. I teach my teams that it's not what's going to go wrong, because something's going to go wrong. It's how you solve that problem and what resources you have to be able to fix it and stay within budget when you fix it.
So with this, of course, you would have to have experience with going through it. What's some experiences that you had that deals just like you invested in something and it just went sideways?
Well, so the good news for me is that I'm kind of cautious about what I buy, and I'm also a real estate broker, so I'm looking at it with the perspective of how is this going to resell. So I can say without a doubt, my banker's probably listening. We've only had one deal go a little bit south. We still made a little bit of money, but we just didn't make what we should have, and that's because we're conservative about the properties that we purchased. We make sure that we're analyzing them up front, and we're making good, wise investments, which is in turn what I teach my people how to do. Whether you're a real estate agent or not, you can still be informed and educated about making those decisions. But that poor house that we did down on Crestview, that we barely skated through on that one. And it's because everything went wrong. If the wiring needed to be replaced, the plumbing had to go, we had to change some walls. One of the contractors that we hired on that site had to be escorted off site by a police escort one day. Man. Those kind of things that go wrong. We had a material order that that came in that was overpriced and couldn't be returned. And it just, again, if anything could go wrong, it did. But it turned out to be one of my favorite projects. It had kind of a mid-century modern theme to it. And it was super, super cute. And it in the end has a great family who lives there, and they love that house. And we made $1 or $2 on it, but not what we like to make.
Well, at least you made something, or the worst thing you can do is lose money.
That's right. And again, knock on wood, we haven't lost money. But if you're going to put, 21 days or more worth of effort into something.
That's true. You want to make something out of it.
You got to make something out of that. Yeah, exactly. That much sweat equity has to be worth something.
No, that is true. So when you moved to Austin, what year was it when you moved to Austin?
Back in 2006.
2006. How did you establish yourself in the Austin market?
Yeah, absolutely. Being new to it. Yeah, being new to market is tough. So, first of all, getting the kids kind of grounded in school and building those networks, I think was the most critical thing that we could do, because the more you get out and meet people and you network, the more opportunities kind of unfold for you.
True.
And so, and learning areas, I actually partnered with other real estate agents. This was before I had my brokerage established. And so I met with other real estate agents, started just to look at properties and just get familiar with the area. And, Austin is such a cool city. There's such an awesome vibe. And so I spent a lot of time being a tacky tourist. I wanted to go and see what was out there and dragging folks along and just getting to know people, and building that network was, I think, for us, what was the most critical. And some of those are the people that I'm still doing house deals with, and, they're still flipping with us or investors with us. And so I know that building networks is actually what propels us.
And I'll elaborate on this a little bit really quick, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but building physical relationships, meaning like I see you, you see me. And I say that because there's so many people that think they can do every single thing online without having, or like when you're trying to build something, without having a physical presence. And it makes a huge, like a massive difference.
It really does.
I guess people call it old school now, but
I like that way.
I know, right? Because you have that's the best way to be able to build a relationship. Like you can do as many Facebook ads, any type of social media ads as you want to get people in. But when you're trying to, like, especially when you're new to market somewhere, when you can make a physical presence and you can really connect with people in that way, it makes a massive difference.
And I think for us and what we do, people have to trust us. And so they have to know you. You have to have an opportunity to understand what their kids are doing and what's important to them, and when they're going on vacation, and be able to know what their goals and their true objectives are. And you can't do that with somebody until you have that eye-to-eye contact and you really truly take the time to get to know them. So I know for me and what we do, especially as somebody's coming to make an investment in a property, sometimes people are putting their whole life savings down on the line, and they've got to trust that we're going to walk them through that as safely and as securely as we can. I mean, clearly you can't, there's no crystal ball in real estate, but we've got to do the best that we can, and people have to trust that. And I think that comes from getting to know us and us getting, the opportunity to know them better as well.
True. And touching on kids really quick, how difficult, you're a hustler, how difficult was that to be able to go out, and while I talk about face-to-face networking and actually being out there, it's tough because you actually have a family.
I do have a family, and we're super close.
Yeah. How difficult is that for you?
You know what's really interesting is I drug my kids along. So both of my kids can tell you what the ARV is on a house and what the ratios are, and they know how to close. So my son's he's in his senior year of high school, and my daughter's in her second year of college. And they both are going to end up being in the business, but that's because I was dragging them along with me. It was the only choice. I ended up, I know I mentioned, the beginnings of my story, my husband at the time, we divorced fairly soon after we moved to Austin. I was raising kids on my own after that. And,
man, that's even more tough.
Yeah, it was just me and the two kids. Yeah. And they're fabulous kids. They're both super smart, lots of fun, loads of energy. And so being able to include them was, I thought, really valuable, because they learned the value of money early on. They know the value of a hard day's work.
Yeah.
And they really do. I actually have a funny story. My son was helping us flip a property, and he was struggling to figure out how to get the toilet out, and he tried to get the bolts off, and there was just nothing he could do with it. And so finally he came, and it kind of dawned on him that this was trash. And so he came and asked if he could take a sledgehammer to that. And so he learned how to drain the water out of it, and then he actually busted it up into small, tiny pieces. And so after that, he was all about demo day, because just that problem solving, trying to think through it and finding the path forward. Yeah, exactly. So instead of struggling with that stupid toilet to get it out, and in the end, he had a ton of fun. And now toilets always go into the dumpster in tiny pieces because that's what he likes to do. He just busts them up. He's the best at taking tile out and flooring out because he loves him some demo.
No, that's good. I've heard of people talking about the struggles with it, but you said you took them along with you.
I just took them with me.
Which is, I mean, it's almost, I would say you didn't have much of a choice. Mm-mm. So you had to make it work.
You just do what you have to do, right? That's how we all survive.
Exactly. It's interesting. I would say every single podcast that we've done and show that we've done, the person has always said, like, I didn't have any choice. Mm-hmm. And you're literally just, your back's against the wall. Yep. You got to fight your way through.
That's right. And I think I got lucky by falling into flipping, but I literally flipped my first house because it was that or not eat.
Yeah.
And I just happened into a great opportunity. The market was just right at the time. And then the same thing with my kids. I just didn't have a choice, but they turned out, it benefited them in the long run. Yeah. And they're both talking about getting their real estate licenses and how they can apply what it is that they want to quote unquote be when they grow up to being in real estate and kind of running the business and driving it too.
Nice. So when you came, it was amazing. You had Amazing Realty when you came.
I actually was just my own little independent investor. And so, Amazing Realty was only set up about 5 or 6 years ago. Uh-huh. And so we built from it just being me, kind of helping other folks, to having lots of people say, help me, teach me. I want to be a part of that. So I actually set up the agency, like I say, about 6 years ago. And so today we've got 65 agents and nice. We've got 3 project houses brewing right now. And I couldn't even tell you how many houses we've flipped. It'd take me a while to go and figure that out. We've built this huge network of agents that are all part of the family, and they are in themselves this awesome network because they're selling houses to each other and they're figuring out how to support each other and doing flips. And when somebody's got one that they don't have time to flip, they share it with somebody else. So the team in itself is really valuable, just being in that group.
That's great. And then when did 360 begin?
So 2 years ago. And again, it's just that awesome opportunity to build something new and kind of take an idea and go with it. And so we have a production partner, and we're actually filming TV shows every single week. So we're on KVVO on Sundays at 10. And we love to share a podcast, and we have the radio show on 1370 as well. Troy, one of our lending partners, runs that with Wyatt, who's also one of our title partners. And it's just awesome to be a part of all of that digital distribution. Because what we're finding is that's how people communicate these days, and that's how they're finding houses, and in our case, how they're finding investor partners. And so, nobody else is doing this. And it just amazes me that there was this brainchild, this idea. You look at the market and you go, hey, wait, there's a place for that. And so to work with my production partners and to be able to put this show together every single week, it's awesome. And it's really touching when a client calls in and says, hey, you've been in my living room every week. I've done all the things you've told me to do. Now I'm ready to get my house sold. I just love when that happens because we really are reaching people.
Nice. So with that, and I'll kind of touch on this part really quick, and then I want to talk more about the 21-day flip. Okay. With the 360 and the Amazing Realty, both of those. What's your thought process when you think of like, hey, I'm going to start Amazing Realty and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z? Or, hey, this is a great opportunity with 360. Right. We can do X, Y, and Z. Because a lot of people, like you mentioned, it's like it's wide open.
It is.
It's more
an untapped opportunity.
And it's naive to think that nobody else thought about it, but there's always only one or a few people that actually do it. Yep. So what's kind of like your thought process when you're going to start something new?
Yeah, so when I very first switched over from being just an investor to being a real estate agent, I had to join a brokerage, right? Because you can't just start out and be your own broker. And so through those experiences, which they were all great, but I just constantly had this drive, this need to do it better, to do it differently. And so when I finally did set up Amazing Realty, which came first, and then Evolve360 came after that, it was just this idea, and literally sat down and wrote out all the things. If it could be the ideal real estate brokerage, what would it be? How can we best serve our clients, and how can I grow the best real estate agents that I possibly can? And so we put together things that are totally different. And when I do have new agents who come on board, I think it's what they say and what they perceive that's most valuable. And consistently people say, I've never worked with a broker who teaches as often as you do. So of course that goes goes back to my background in education, but we literally teach every single Tuesday. I sit down with my agents one-on-one and we write contracts. Nobody gets lost in the shuffle. Everybody knows each other, and we've built this community of support. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that piece is key. And then the other piece of it is that we truly are full service. We do construction management. We do property management. We're wholesaling. We're flipping. We have a luxury division. Just the ability to say, if it has to do with real estate, we do it. And not that we just kind of halfway do it. We've got agents who specialize in each of those areas. And I've been doing this for so long now that I've got so much experience in it that I'm able to grow my team and let them experience things in real estate that are different than just that transactional real estate that you typically come across. And I really feel like we give so much more value to our clients because of that. A lot of times people come to us and say, look, this house is old. I don't know how to fix it up. I don't know what to do to get it ready for sale. And so we're able to offer a full service and being able to actually do the construction management to get it ready for sale. We can advise them on, the best things. Is it worth spending some money on this bathroom and kitchen, or are there some ways to make it more marketable without spending a whole lot of money? And then at the back end of that, we have clients who say, hey, I want to buy this old ugly fixer-upper and do something with it. And we're able to do that. We have staging. For our clients who are investors, we have the property management division, which again, all that kind of folds into itself. When a tenant moves out and that investor might live in California, we have the ability and the resources to be able to make it ready and get it painted and fixed up. And
it is an all-in-one.
It really, truly is.
I like that you said that you actually wrote down as like, how can we make this all-in-one?
Yes.
And then you went out and did it.
We went out and did it. Yep.
21-day flip, because that's what caught on to me the most.
Yeah, right? Yeah. That's kind of the thing, right?
Yeah, so I'm at home. I'm watching HGTV.
Right.
And I see what's the twin guy's name?
Oh, yeah, the Property Brothers.
Yeah, I see the Property Brothers. Or I see...
See, I watch HGTV too.
Oh, yeah. Property Brothers.
You just outed me.
Or... what is his name? One of the Kardashians' former boyfriend.
Oh, goodness.
Ditch.
Rob.
I don't know who that one is.
Yeah, I don't know.
We get called Chip and Joanna Gaines all the time.
Ditch something, but he goes around. He has his own show.
Yeah.
And he goes around and he goes on and he's find these homes. There you go. Scott Disick?
I think
Yeah.
And so anyway, he goes around and these typically are like these big $1 million homes in like Hollywood type area.
Yeah.
And he goes and he fixes them up and all this stuff like this. Honestly, it looks cool from the outside because I'm pretty sure these are long periods of time. I say long periods of time. I would say within 20 to 30 days, I guess, that they actually do all of these and they get permits and all this stuff. I pay attention to a lot of details. I'm like...
Those permits don't come overnight.
They don't. Like one of them, he didn't have a permit to do some kind of construction in a backyard.
Uh-oh.
His neighbor took a picture of it and reported it.
That's what happens.
And they had to cut everything. And I was like, man, that's how I learned how permits was like this.
It's serious
deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's for real.
Saying, so I just watched this. And I'm like, I can flip a home. I want to flip a home.
Okay.
And so I come across a 21-day flip.
Yeah.
What am I going to get from the 21-day flip that's going to prepare me so that I'm not just thinking I can go out and look at home and be like, hey, here's my money. I'm going to go fix a toilet and throw up some carpet.
Absolutely. So we start from the beginning with how to actually find project houses because you can't just go buy something that's retail because clearly that's either already fixed up or it's being sold at market value. And so being able to find something that's below market value so that you have some margin and you have some room to make some money. We teach that. We teach about budgeting and how to manage the money and what to expect. A lot of times people will walk through a house and they have no idea what to do to it to make money or what's going to sell, what's the most valuable, what upgrades and changes you can make to a house to get the most return. So we're teaching those concepts. I think one of the key things that we teach is actually how to be the best general contractor, construction manager that you can be. You have to be smarter than your contractors. You have to know what they need to do in order to guide them and get the most time efficiency out of them, the best quality work. Otherwise, you're going to get taken for a ride and you're going to have a bad product.
Because when I was looking on the show, the general contractors, the three guys, the general contractor quit. He was like, I don't feel like working with y'all on this deal, etc. And that's when
it all broke
shit
loose.
just went it just went bad.
And
I was like, oh wow, because he was the guy that were literally every single person that came and did the work on the home, he made sure they were there on time, it got done correctly, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And when his presence wasn't there, literally nothing got done.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
they had to go back and find him.
What's really interesting is on our project sites, I'm there every single morning. And so I always go dressed as a broker. They kind of laugh at me because I'm in my dress and my high heels on a flip side. But hey, we do what we have to do. But my construction crews have been working for me so long that they know me, they trust me. And when I've got new teams on site, it takes them a little while to get used to some of the new players. And for the new team members to find their voice and to speak up and to say, this is how it needs to be. So it's really interesting to see when I come on site, everybody kind of shapes up real quick and things start to happen. But it's good for my teams to see how the contractors respond to me so that they can know how to expect that when they're running their own job sites and kind of what that should look like and how it should be. So these guys that have been working with us for so long, it's awesome. And I teach my guys, my teammates, that they have to learn how to paint straight lines on sheetrock. It's bumpy, it's not flat, so you got to learn how to paint straight lines, and you have to understand how the plumbing is supposed to be set up and what to look for in the electricity and the wiring. So being on site on a 21-day flip every day is more than half of the education. So I'm going to teach them all those things, but they're going to learn a lot of it just by virtue of being there.
Oh, so they actually be there during the 21-day flip?
Yes, when they're actually on site, they sure do. Yeah, we're in the process of developing a webinar of the 21-day flip so that somebody who may not be here locally can still gain that same knowledge from us and can tap into our experiences and our resources and our workbook and that sort of thing so that they can do it in whatever state they're in. But if anybody's here local in the Austin area, they can actually come on site onto a project house and be involved in that demo and be on site every day to learn how to work with the crews. And then they meet with me every Monday night. We always meet in the evenings and we review our budgets and we kind of talk about next steps. And there's so much rich and deep education that happens in those meetings.
That's very hands-on.
It really is.
Very hands-on.
They have to come dressed in, I say no open-toed shoes on the job site, but they literally come dressed every day prepared for demo or painting or some sort of construction. Because if they don't have that hands-on experience, then they haven't gotten as much from me as I'm able to teach them and share with them. So being on site is awesome.
So if what's the type of person would I say like in the Austin area? Is this somebody that will want to do flipping or investments in this kind of way, like long term? Like, hey, this is what I want to actually do, or is this something that someone can do on the side? Because it does have involvement. Like you need to physically be here to really get the full educational part, so you're prepared to be able to do this and get profit from it. So
absolutely. So somebody who's going to come and actually join a project site here in the Austin area when we're doing a 21-day flip needs to be able to commit at least a week of time because that hands-on piece in that first week where they're doing demolition and starting to order their materials and everything is delivered and they're putting it all back together. Somebody can have a job and still participate, but it's really, if they're going to do this even on the side afterwards and they just want this experience, they still really need that first full week to be dedicated to kind of learning. So even if they take paid time off or they have kids and need somebody to help watch kiddos for a little while, that first week is really critical. After that, everybody kind of works on a schedule. And it's about a 10-hour a week commitment for those extra couple of weeks. So it's not that much once it's really rolling. But I will say that the people who spend more time on site are the ones who get more benefit. They learn more just by being there. Yeah. You see what happens in the moment when somebody, punches a hole in the wall by accident or, discovers that there's something wrong with the plumbing. If you're actually there and you're able to help solve it and see how the crews handle it, you just learn so much more.
Yeah. It's always best, especially because I know at the beginning you were kind of talking about there's always something that's going to go wrong, or at least small or big. Of course, you want to keep it small, but
that's right.
Whichever one, you have to have some kind of experience to know and understand how to handle it and the right things to do, et cetera, et cetera.
And that's where I come in. I'm consulting constantly. So if something does happen, they just reach out, or if I'm not on site, they reach out to me. Otherwise, I'm there and guide them through that process. And again, that's part of the learning. That's the value of it. But what's really interesting is the cross section of people who've joined our projects. So I've got some women who are, I'm going to lovingly say older because I have gray hair. I can say that. I've got young folks who, are just, I've got a couple who are literally just out of college. I've got couples, who come and flip together. And it's awesome to see how they all complement each other and how they partner together. Because somebody will have more strength or skill in one area and somebody else in another. And it really does become this kind of life altering experience, and they become bonded. They're all so close, and they end up working together on future projects. And it's really awesome to see that they actually then end up going to, each other's kids' events, and I see them vacationing together or whatnot, just because they have done so much. It sounds like a short amount of time, 21 days, but so much happens in that time that you really do get bonded and close. And so, people from all different walks of life and colors and race, it doesn't even matter who or what you are. If you get put together on one of these sites, it really does become this really cool life experience.
You have a community and everyone has those same goals.
Absolutely.
So whenever you have a community, it's great because you can feed off of one another. Like you said, different people have different strengths. You can bounce different questions and stuff off of one another, and what other people kind of see that you may and may not see.
Yep, and that's what they do, and it's so awesome to see it. Yeah. And then they often go out and flip again, after they flipped with us for several houses, then they go off in smaller groups and they're still flipping houses together.
Nice.
Yep.
So we're gonna put some information about the 21 day, the 21 day flip on it too.
21dayflip.com.
I know. I like that. Oh, you got 21dayflip.com.
That's right.
So what's the next goal? You got, I won't say goal. What's the next vision? Yeah. Amazing was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
360 was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
You're on a trend here.
I know. Yeah, the sky's the limit.
So what do you kind of see as next? What's your vision for next?
Right. So right now I'm kind of grooming the kiddos just to see what they want to do. So they're both at that point where they're kind of deciding what they want to be when they grow up.
I love that.
I know, right? And so I'm kind of leaving the door open to see what they're interested in and which direction they go. As far as I'm concerned, I'm still just so attached to this idea of teaching. I really want to take this idea of the 21-day flip, and we're ready to finish and launch our our nationwide program, that webinar series. So that's kind of the next thing for us. We've got a couple of secrets in our pocket that hopefully we'll be able to come and talk to you about soon. Some future TV production and some things like that.
Nice.
that should be pretty big, pretty fun. So that'll give us a reason to meet again and have another conversation.
Yeah, realistically too, the 21-day flip is actually, when I say it was the next thing, that is the thing right now that was next that you got going on.
It is. It's in the process.
Right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's kind of in its infancy stages, which is interesting because it's been something that we've been doing for so long, but it's kind of come together and taken on its own life. Yeah. And so it really is in the works. It is about to be the next thing.
Nice. One thing that really quick when you mentioned and you said, see what your kids want to do.
Yeah.
It was actually this week. We was at home, right? And my son knows the name of my oldest, my 7-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
He knows the name of my business. And it kind of surprised me that he knew. Of course, he's seen it before, and he was like, I had on a shirt. Because typically I always wear, first I like wearing black all the time, but I always wear a shirt that has on ATX or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I like wearing my own brand.
As you should.
Yeah. And so it's like, Daddy, ATX Web Designs, it's your company. I was like, yeah, good job. So then we're sitting down and at home the other day, he has this paper and filling out this deal. And it said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he put web designer.
Oh.
My lips start shaking.
Oh, I know. Oh, he's going to grow up to be just like his daddy.
Well, and the point is kind of like, it reminded me when you say you were taking your kids to, these places and things like that. Mm-hmm. And my kids, I don't take, they've actually been here to the office with me before.
Sure.
When we recorded some stuff that was here before.
It's nothing better than going to see daddy at work.
I know, right? And so the thing is that they pay attention to so many things. Mm-hmm. And there's all these little things that invested in them, and they don't even I put it like this. I didn't realize he understood. Like when he said web designer, I was like,
does he even know what that really means? Yeah.
Because he asked me before, and he was like, Daddy is during the summertime. He's like, Daddy, what do you like during the day? He's like, why are you always on your laptop and you're on your phone and et cetera, et cetera? And I was like, when y'all out at school, this is what I'm doing all day.
Right.
He was like, what are you doing? It's like, what do you do?
That's
and I was
so
like,
sweet.
The websites. I didn't get into details like to build the websites. And I was like, I'm on my phone, I'm talking to people so we can build websites for them. And I was like, these little games y'all play, these are mobile apps, and we build these and blah, blah. I was like, oh, okay. I don't know how he
now he has aspirations.
I know. There was only like one time, and so he kind of took.
They pay attention, though.
They do.
They really do.
They pay a lot of attention, and so when I seen it, I was like, oh, yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I got my kids' bank accounts when they were 7, and both of mine can tell you to the penny how much money's in the bank. And so because they had to have those experiences early on, and so they are paying attention, and the more we teach them, the more opportunity we give them, the more they're going to know. So I feel like I did mine a service by letting them be involved in flipping and learning and being, they did it all. My kiddos have been to closings and know how much it is to buy a house and what kind of profit you make, and they get it.
My brother's does stuff in the real estate industry, and he teaches his children the exact same thing. Yeah. We were mentioning like they know what this is. He teaches them, and they know. It reminded me when we were talking about they could tell you how much money to the penny.
Oh yeah.
This was like last week, like a week or two ago. Same one, 7-year-old. We put him in a reading program during the summertime.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was on track. He was going to 2nd grade. His reading was fine, but the teacher was like, it's not where I want it to be. Like, it could be better.
Okay, yeah.
And so it's like, go to a reading program during the summer in summer school? He was like, yeah. So he went, and we make them read. Depends on how hectic things are in the evening. I would say at least 4 times a week.
Yes.
They read before bed. You know? And I'll have him read. And I was like, the program worked a little bit. Well, I told him a week and a half ago, I was like, if you read an entire book, I'll give you $20.
Oh, hey, that's some incentive.
And he was like, deal. A week later, which is, I think it was this week or last week.
Right.
I'm at home. My wife was out of town. I get the kids bathed and everything else. He takes a shower. He comes. He was like, I said, Davin, go get you a book so you can read.
He got his hand out waiting on his 20.
He gets the book. No, he's setting me up. He gets the book. I forgot about it. He gets the book. My other 3, I'm holding my newborn. My other 2 kids taking a bath. And he was like, Daddy, I'm going to read the book. I was like, all right, go read it. He was like, I want you to make sure you see me. I'm not thinking about it because everything else is going on. I was like, all right, Dad, we'll just sit right here and watching your brother and sister. So he sits down. He starts reading out loud. So reading, and then he's like, Daddy. I was like, I'm paying attention. I hear you. I go in the living room with the newborn, start feeding him. He comes and sits right by me in a rocking chair.
He's still reading.
63-page book.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, man, that is reading.
That's worth more than $20, I'm just going to say.
Well, he picked it. And I was like, man, he's reading pretty good. And he gets done, and I was like, I only helped him maybe on like 3 words. And I was like, Davin, I was like, that's good job. And he said,
oh, he put his hand out. You were searching for a 20.
I said, what are you doing? He was like, give me my change. I was like, what are you talking about? He said, you told me if I read the whole book, you'll give me $20. I was like,
sure enough.
Dope.
Right?
I forgot about it.
I'm hoping you paid up.
I owed him $20.
Oh.
He won't let. He just mentioned it to me. I think it was this morning or yesterday.
You need to go get that boy a crisp 20.
I do. I don't carry cash much, but
I'll tell you, there's an ATM downstairs. Just saying.
It is. I was like,
asking for a friend.
I said I'm gonna get him his $20.
Oh, sweet boy.
I know. Thanks so much, Jennifer, for getting on the show with us. Where can the audience find you? 21dayflip.com.
Yep, absolutely. AmazingRealty.com, Evolve360.com. You can find us live on air every Sunday on KBVO.
Nice.
Absolutely.
What time on Sundays?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, KBVO.
We replay during the week as well, and sometimes we're on in the evenings, just depending on what else is scheduled, as far as programming goes. But we're on KBVO. That's a local NBC affiliate, so it depends on whether you're on cable or satellite as to what channel that is, but look us up.
Nice. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Telling your story. This is Daniel Griggs with Startup Social TV and Podcast. We chat with you next week.
Thank you so much for tuning in into this week's episode of the Startup Social Podcast. You can listen to us anywhere podcasts are available and on our YouTube channel. Make sure to visit our website, startupsocialtv.com. Until next time.